seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
That's it! You're locked in here with me.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It's a Sunday night live stream, Radio Baloney Live. I am your host, Richie Baloney. All right, I hope everybody's had a good weekend. I had a pretty good one. Pretty chill. Pretty rancho relaxo. Looks like we got JJ Nevada in the chat already. Good to see you. We've got hot retarded chicks in the chat. Been a few live streams since we've seen you in there, HRC. Good to see you. Well, HRC is saying it's all BS. God damn it. You just stole my whole show right there. God damn you. Why do you try and do that to me? Why do you try and steal my thunder like that? And I was saying baloney stew. Well, it is. Hey, Rosie, how you doing? All right. All right. I think I've got enough caffeine in me to do this. What are we talking about? Well, there's lots of news. Let's go over the menu, shall we? Let's go over the menu. What are we going to talk about? Well, there's far-left agitators protest police at UBC, University of British Columbia, with decapitated pig head. You know, okay, so these protesters are all commies, right? They're all far-left. They're all protected by the mainstream media in Canada. If the truckers had done this, okay, they'd still be leading the news off with it every single day. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Anyway, nothing in the CBC, the state media, by the way, on this. They don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. They don't like to talk about the far left extremism and the crazy shit they do. How about this? U.S.-born workers lost 1.3 million jobs in last year. Foreign-born workers gained 1.2 million. So, I don't know. That's not good, right? We'll talk about that briefly. We're going to talk about Elon Musk. He's talking about his Starship, SpaceX. He's got Starship. He's talking about launching towards Mars in 2 years, and then 2 years after that, if it's successful, sending people there. I mean, I love science fiction. I read science fiction all the time. I love the idea of there being human colonies on the moon or Mars or wherever. I wouldn't want to go, though. I wouldn't want to go. I don't like going outside if it's humid. Never mind if there's no oxygen. But anyway, we'll take a look at that. We've got some interesting stuff here, election-related stuff. Tucker and Vivek and RFK Jr. there. We've got some fun Kamala stuff, of course. Of course we do. Her top 5 Kamala moments. So that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Let's see. So we've got Pierre Poilievre talking about his plans for immigration here. I showed you something similar, I think, on Friday, but we're going to take another look here because, it is immigration in Canada. It's the same as everywhere in the West. It's completely out of control. It seems like our far left prime minister here is trying to just flood the country with as many people as possible for as long as he can until he gets kicked out. It's not helping Canadians. That's the thing. This is a big lie, right? We've all been told, you need immigration or else the economy is going to collapse. They've been telling us this for decades now, and everything keeps getting worse. So maybe it was never right in the first place. Maybe it was always bullshit. Maybe it sure seems like bullshit now. But it's something that needs to be talked about. I think that the taboo against talking about it, because there's been a taboo against talking about it in Canada for a long time. I think that taboo is gone now. I think that's been destroyed. I think that's been nuked. But anyway, let's continue. What else are we going to talk about? We got something from Trump here. He's talking about banning any federal employee from colluding to limit free speech. That sounds good. That sounds good for the Western world. What have we got here? This Tenet, the Tenet media thing with Lauren Chen, and then it's got Tim Pool and Lauren Southern and Dave Rubin all caught up in this thing. It just seems weird to me. Right before, a couple of months before an election, the whole thing, we've been through this before. I think we went through it at length on Friday. The whole thing seems kind of strange to me, I got to say, but It's almost like this was just built for the media to run with. And I've said many times that it seems like the media, the mainstream media in every Western country, just getting the same script. They're just reading, like there's one guy who's putting the same shit into all of their teleprompters, regardless of what country they're in. And I've got a great example from Canadian media here, which is so frustrating. It's enough to drive you fucking crazy when you see this shit. Just the gaslighting, the bullshit. Anyway, we'll have to take a quick look at the indictment again to go through that. And of course, we've got all the stuff that I've collected, just the random stuff I've collected just since Friday. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's getting those tattoos removed. He woke up one morning and he said, "Why did I get a skeleton thing put on my face again? Why did I do that? I'm in law school." And he never did become a lawyer. It's sad. He had to work at the haunted house at the carnival. Such a shame. But maybe he's going to get back into law school again and give it another go. Who knows? Anyway, bad idea. Bad idea. I'm going to say no impulse control. Very poor impulse control. Hopefully he's learned something. A little bit older, a little bit wiser, hopefully. And of course, because we keep it classy on Radio Baloney Live, my audience's favorite video of all time. So at some point we will look at that again. If anybody gets sad and they want to be cheered up, it's not a bad way. All right. Let's get the chat going here. Let's see some more chat happening. HRC is saying it's love. It's love, of course. Then he says, Carrie. I don't know what Hot Retarded Chicks is saying most of the time. I don't get it. It just seems random all the time. But we love them. Of course we love them. Let's see. All right. Well, I guess that's it. You know what? This is a great point before I get into the stories. This is a great point to say, part of the show for me to say, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe right now. It's extremely important. I can't explain to you why. We don't have time, but just do it. You'll find out later. You'll be relieved. You'll be glad it happened. Also, put a like on the stream right now. Be one of the first in. Of all the good karma that you can get from this channel, liking early is probably, it's among the best, the finest. Looks like we got AJ McLean in the chat. Good to see ya. Haven't seen you in here for a little while. Good to see you back. But can she actually cook? Well, of course she can. Look. You're trying to tell me you wouldn't eat whatever she's making for dinner and like it? Of course you would. And she's happy. Look, and she's smiling. She's putting love into it. Of course it's going to be delicious. Come on. Rosie says, did not know Yellow Cooker had sound on the video. Well, that's because we always do this. For anybody who's never seen the video before of the cook in the yellow top. All right. Looks like the ads are back. I couldn't read any ads on Friday, but it looks like they're back. But I don't have enough people watching right now to read one, so I guess we'll just have to wait. All right, everybody. I guess we should just get to it. Let's just get to it. Far-left agitators protest police at UBC, that's the University of British Columbia, with decapitated pig head. Pigs off campus, they say, so they don't like the police. This is pretty gross and pretty extreme and creepy and just weird. So, again, if the truckers had done something like this, Like, again, they'd be leading off. The National would be leading off with it still to this day. They'd still be leading off the news every night in 10 years from now. I wonder if the CBC must be interested in this, because this is pretty gross. This feels like pretty extreme, right? Pretty extreme. But I forgot. It's left-wing extremism. That's fine. Let's see. CBC, and in fact, we'll refresh it. We'll refresh it to make sure. Let's see. Anything of interest. Anything of interest. Let's see. First look at Jasper National Park campgrounds. Paints dark picture, but there is hope. Okay. Let's see. Tech social media, a minefield for couples divorcing. Oh, boy. Oh, I'm never going to have to worry about that again. I've already been divorced twice, so I've learned my lesson. Endangered Vancouver Island marmot numbers get a boost. So, yeah, okay. Let's see. Anything about crazed far leftist revolutionary communists putting a pig's head on a gate at UBC? Let's see. Nothing. I don't see anything. Well, they must have written something. It's probably just, we probably just have to find it. Let's see. UBC. Let's type that in. Let's see if there's anything. Let's see. Well, let's search for most recent. No. Totem pole at Stanley Park to be moved. It's big news. No. Nope, and it's going back before this happened. So no, nothing. For some reason, no interest in that. Maybe we'll even go more. Pig head. There's something in here. Nothing. Not at all interested in this. Not at all interested in this. It feels like they're selective in what they cover, doesn't it? For some reason, left-wing agitators connected to the pro-Palestinian group People's University for Gaza at UBC stuck a severed pig head on a fence at the University of British Columbia, along with a sign that demanded pigs off our campus. This feels kind of extreme. Left-wing agitators. Well, again, this is why the CBC, the state media, is not going to be interested. They like it. Pro-Palestinian group, well, they're going to like that too. People's University for Gaza. That's the group. People's University for Gaza at UBC. That's a commie name for their group. That's obviously commie. That's Maoist. They're far left. Again, CBC is not going to have any problem with that. CBC will write an article about how the word freedom is a far right dog whistle. But I don't know, pig's head with them. What did the sign say? Pigs off campus. This feels kind of extreme to me. This all feels very kind of revolutionary communist to me. No interest whatsoever. No interest whatsoever. People's University for God. They're commies. Commies. They're always commies every single time. You take a look under the carpet, any of these groups, regardless of what it is, Rainbow or Palestine, whatever it is, it's always Marxism. They're always commies. That's what they're always really about. A sign that demanded pigs off our campus. I thought they were all vegans, by the way. I thought they were all vegans. And obviously, it was not any actual Palestinians that put it there, because they can't touch that, right? So Antifa, I'm guessing. Antifa. They don't mind. The People's University for Gaza UBC group has made a list of demands, one of them being keep cops off our campus. Yeah, so you can go fucking crazy and destroy everything. Maybe just burn the whole thing down. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, engages in suppression and violence against BIPOC and other marginalized communities. It's always the same thing, right? This is why, like, the CBC can't run stories on this stuff, right? That's why they can't criticize them, because they'll be accused of, well, for one thing, they just agree with them, I'm sure, right? But they'll be accused of the same thing. Anything they don't like, it's violence against blah, blah, blah. They don't need any evidence of this. They just say it. Because for them, it's axiomatic. It's just obvious, right? They don't need to know any evidence. They don't even want to see any evidence of it. They already know it's true. Why would they want to do that? Why would they want to take the risk that maybe they might see something that might contradict what they already believe and what they're going to believe anyway, or at least pretend to believe? Ultimately, for a lot of them, it's fashion, but I don't know, I feel like it's a bit much. I just feel like it deserves some note in the mainstream media here. A left-wing supporter of the demonstration with the pig's head only took issue that the pig died in slavery. Oh, that's hilarious. All right. The post, along with the severed pig head, stated, quote, "Let it be clear, as we begin this new academic year, we remain steadfast in our commitment to hold UBC accountable for its complicity in this ongoing genocide. UBC will not know peace until we get Palestine back, piece by piece." I don't think Israel's listening. Got to be honest with you. I know it's tough to hear, but I kind of feel like everything you're doing means nothing. I mean, if it means that it just gives you a reason to cause division and chaos because you want to destroy Western civilization, I mean, I guess then that there is a purpose, but I guess that's your purpose right there, isn't it? It further added, "Pigs off campus is one of our demands. KK Canada's and Israel." Are any of these actually students, I wonder, by the way? Are both shared violent settler colonial projects built on the removal of indigenous peoples from their land with the use of police forces. Still, like Canada's kind of already here. Like the United States is kind of already there, has been for a long time. KK Canada. Do they really believe this? Maybe they do. I don't know. Pigs off campus. Yeah, they want the police off the campus so they could fucking burn the place down. Because they just hate every Western institution and want to burn them down. Maybe so they can terrorize Jewish students, I guess, as well. That'd probably be fun for them. KK Canada. Yeah, like there was never really a big KKK thing in Canada. There's never really a big slavery thing in Canada, at least not after colonialism. Before it was colonized, plenty of slavery in Canada. Everybody here was that was indigenous was enslaving each other. Let's see. As the IOF continues to invade Palestinian schools, is that supposed to be the IDF? Continues to invade Palestinian schools and shoot at youth. The RCMP similarly continues to murder indigenous youth here. No, they're not. Like the recent shooting of the 15-year-old from the Samson Cree Nation, Haas Lightning. Or Haas Lighting? What's the actual name? Well, you know what? Let's take a look at that.
Fact check.
All right, let's pull up a page here. Haas Lightning shooting. Let's see what happened here. All right. Let's see what happened here. Let's find out what happened. This may have been a bad shooting. I don't know. But let's find out. Let's find out for ourselves. As community mourns the death of a teenager shot and killed by police after allegedly calling them for help, First Nations leaders and the boy's family are condemning the officer's actions. Made 5 requests. Let's see. The RCMP said officers responded around 12:30 a.m. on Friday, August 30, after receiving a 911 call from someone who said he was being followed by people who were trying to kill him. A letter issued Monday by Sampson Cree Nation Council on behalf of the Woods family said Lightning was the one who made the call for help, only to end up dead. Okay. Just under an hour after a 911 call came in last Friday, RCMP said the officers found an individual in Wetaskiwin and approached him. RCMP said the person had weapons on them, which the officers confiscated. So that's the kind of weapons they were. A confrontation occurred, which resulted in two officers discharging their service firearms and the individual being struck. Officers immediately transitioned to life-saving measures, rendering first aid to the individual, and EMS was called. EMS transported the individual to the hospital. However, despite life-saving efforts, the individual died at the hospital. Okay. Doesn't sound like they were just like hunting somebody to shoot. Okay, so it doesn't appear that there's. Let's see, hold on a second. All right, well, there's very little information here on what actually happened. Let's see. RCMP said it was also doing an internal review to gather a full account of what took place, including police training, policy, and response. Okay. So we don't know what happened, and neither do they. So let's see. So blah, blah, blah continues to murder. And so they have no idea what happened. Nobody will know until there's an investigation. So shut up. And what is all this like? Canada's the RCMP is simply not running around murdering Indigenous youth. That's just not happening. The group added that the university president, this would be the commies, president announced over the summer that there would be more campus security. However, the people's, okay, hold on a second. Yeah. However, the People's University for Gaza at UBC stated the efforts, quote, will not intimidate them. As a call to action for its leftist followers, it asked them to, quote, take more action this year, adding, quote, find your comrades, wear your keffiyehs every day, learn beyond these classroom walls, and shut this campus down, which is, of course, the goal. The goal is to shut the West down, to shut Western civilization down, and then build some insane Marxist utopia. The leftist group was part of an effort in the spring and summer to have a Gaza encampment on campus to protest. God, Biden brain again. The leftist group was part of an effort in the spring and summer to have a Gaza encampment on campus to protest the Israel-Hamas war. Lasted for over 2 months, according to the CBC. And now they're putting pigs' heads on the gate with signs that say pigs off campus. I don't know. They seem nice. The People's University for Gaza at UBC, they call themselves. The People's University. Always commies. Every single time. Let's see. All right, well, let's move on. We already took a look at, obviously, CBC is not going to be covering that story because they support the crazy leftists. And see, the thing is, they don't want people to see stuff like this because people will see this and go, ugh, gross. Who did that? Whoever did that is disgusting. These seem like awful people. So they don't want to see that, right? They want to write about how like Putin was responsible for the trucker convoy or how the word freedom is a far right dog whistle. far right. It's terrifying. The word freedom should terrify you. See, AJ McLean says, what is even the point of university these days? These kids come out dumber than they went in. Well, that's true. The point is now to brainwash, right? To create just generations of activists. That's the point now. That is now the point. So these institutions have been infiltrated and taken over, and now they are not what they were originally intended for. They do this with every institution, by the way. Right? If they get full control over the medical institutions in Canada, then it will become about just purely about diversity and doling out healthcare based on, identitarianism and equity. They all just become about Marxism. They'll just become about Marxism. Universities now have just become propaganda mills. They've just become re-education camps. Right? The purpose is to destroy Western civilizations, destroy, liberal democracies. That's the point of it. They're no longer fit for the original purpose, unfortunately. But I think it can be turned around. And a lot of the people at these things, they're not students. They're just professional activists. A lot of them are just Antifa, who just protest everything. They're revolutionary communists, and they're just always looking for something to weaken Western civilization in some way. And so whatever it is, there might be a pride thing one day. It might be Palestine. It could be Ukraine, whatever, trans, whatever, right? They don't care. Just whatever will damage the West. Anyway, U.S.-born workers lost 1.3 million jobs in the last year. Foreign-born workers gained 1.2 million. So U.S.-born workers lost, and there'll be something similar to this in Canada too. U.S.-born workers lost 1.3 million jobs, but then foreign-born workers gained 1.2 million jobs. There's a word just at the back of my throat. What is that word? To kind of describe this. Let's see. You've got 1.3 million jobs lost to U.S.-born workers, but then 1.2 million foreign-born workers gained jobs. There's a word. I think it starts with R. There's a word. That's it. Replaced. It seems like 1.3 million U.S.-born workers were replaced by foreign-born workers. Huh. It's almost like there's JJ Nevada. I think you beat me to it. Replacement. It's almost like some sort of replacement going on. Boy, I feel like I've heard something about that before. I can't. JJ Nevada says, bunch of commie gobbledygook. Yep.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
U.S.-born workers lost over 1.3 million jobs in the past 12 months, while foreign-born workers gained more than 1.2 million jobs during the same period. According to a review of Bureau of Labor Statistics data from Fox 13, as of August, there were 129.7 million native-born workers, down from 131 million in August of last year. Conversely, the number of foreign-born workers increased from 30 million to 31.6 million over the same period. So maybe the Biden regime, maybe they should specify that when they put out the jobs numbers. 1 million jobs gained by illegal aliens, right? Because a lot of them will be giving them ID, right? Giving them social insurance numbers. Rosie says, replaced, erased. Yes. Let's see. These figures emerge amid recent data from the Congressional Budget Office showing that over 9 million immigrants have entered the United States since the beginning of the Biden administration. Super low ball there, with about 6.5 million being illegal immigrants. According to Fox News, The jobs report from the BLS does not differentiate between foreign-born workers who are born in the country legally versus those who are not, and these numbers are way higher, right? Because don't forget, with the illegal, those are just the ones they caught. God knows how many millions they didn't. What I'm saying, there seems to be a consensus that it's at least 10 million entering illegally. So, yeah, again, 1.3 million jobs lost from U.S.-born workers, but then 1.2 million jobs gained. Almost all the ones that were lost by the U.S. workers were then gained by foreign-born workers, as if they were some sort of crazy replacement conspiracy going on. I don't know. It all sounds nuts to me. Anyway, Nevada says you add it all up and there's 100,000 jobs gone too. Gotta love Bidenomics. Yep. Kind of like Trudeaunomics as well. What's going on here? What is going on here? Starships could launch towards Mars in 2 years. SpaceX's Elon Musk. So yeah, he's saying that he's going to send his Starship, but unmanned, in a couple of years, because that's the next time that the Earth and Mars are lined up correctly. It's for the shortest route. He's going to send an unmanned Starship there and test landing it on the surface, which is awesome. And then he's saying 2 years after that, they want to send people, which again is awesome. It's especially awesome if it's not me going there, because I don't want to go there. I like walking outside and there being oxygen. So, but I mean, people will go. There's crazy people out there, totally crazy people out there. Because you got to figure, for one thing, you've got 6 months of cosmic rays and things hitting you, right? And like you're gonna get, regardless of what kind of shielding they do, you're gonna get way more of that than you would on Earth. And then it's incredibly so. What are the chances of even making there alive in the first place, or something going wrong with the life support systems on the thing? I don't know it. And then you've got to land. So if you don't die in that, then you got to get on the surface, which is totally inhospitable. It won't last 10 seconds. You don't have a spacesuit on, or you're in an enclosure with a controlled atmosphere and environment. It sounds like an awful vacation. It sounds like the worst vacation in the world to me, but there are people that will do it. So, I mean, you got to figure, what is your chance of survival of that? 1%? Because then to get back again, if you don't want to just live in like a dome on Mars for the rest of your life, then getting home again is just as bad. So I don't know. What are the chances of surviving? Like 0.1%? 1 in 1,000? 1 in a million? I don't know. It sounds like the world's worst vacation to me. JJ Nevada says, send some illegals. They're adventurous. That's true. That is true. Maybe if you made like the Starship out like a 4-star hotel room, maybe that would work. Let's see. Elon Musk predicted Saturday that his SpaceX venture could launch the first Starships to Mars in 2 years and land astronauts on Mars within the next 4, even as NASA continues to delay its plan to return to the moon. See, that just seems way too ambitious. No, Elon Musk obviously is incredibly ambitious and incredibly efficient, and his companies have an incredible efficiency. 4 years, I haven't seen anything that would suggest we have technology that could get somebody safely to Mars and back in 4 years, even close to that. I mean, you got to consider the actual living quarters on this thing are going to be tiny. 6 months going completely out of your mind. If something goes wrong, that's it. Like, you're done. There's no rescue. Nobody's coming to help you, right? Like, at least those astronauts that are stuck on the space station right now, they know they can get back to Earth. right? They're gonna be stuck up there for a while, but they still have way more room on that, even though obviously very cramped on the International Space Station, but way more space than you'd have in this Starship. Basically just the nose cone of it, basically, right? Just this tiny area that you could live in. So I mean, I tend to not second guess Elon Musk, but this just doesn't seem very reasonable to me. SpaceX is planning its first unmanned starships to Mars journey in 2 years when the Earth is closest to Mars in order to assess the logistics of landing on the neighboring planet. If all goes according to plan, SpaceX plans to send astronauts to Mars within the next 2 years after that. I just don't see it. Musk posted on Saturday, quote, "The first starships to Mars will launch in 2 years when the next Earth-Mars transfer window opens. These will be uncrewed to test the reliability of landing intact on Mars. If those landings go well, then the first crewed flights to Mars will be in 4 years." How? Flight rate will grow exponentially from there with the goal of building a self-sustaining city in about 20 years. I mean, I love it. I love it. Again, I love science fiction. I mean, this all sounds awesome to me. It's amazing and fantastic as long as I don't have to go. If I had to go, it would be awful and I would hate it. Make it in the shape of a taco. JJ Nevada, come on. Flying burrito. Good Lord. Antipop says rocket. Hey, Antipop, how you doing? Good to see you. Antipop says rocket technology won't work. Well, I mean, he thinks it will. But I mean, rocket technology has gotten all of our probes and everything to Mars so far. But I mean, again, sending people who were evolved to live on the surface of Earth in a very, specific, mix of gases and heat and everything. That's a whole different story, and my understanding is, 6 months at the minimum to get there. Meanwhile, you're being bombarded by cosmic rays and all kinds of radiation, and you can't block all of it, right? And it's all bad for you. And also, you're slowly losing your mind from being stuck in this tiny space, very far from home, with no hope of rescue if anything goes wrong. And if anything goes wrong, and there's a lot that can go wrong, you're fucked. I mean, an unimaginable amount of anxiety and stress, I would imagine. I mean, you're going to pick people that have the lowest ratings of anxiety possible. But still, you have to think that it'd be pretty easy to go insane on that trip. I would think so. AJ McLean says, this has Ocean Gate Titan submersible vibes written all over it. Ah, yikes. But you're totally right. That was the submersible that went down to see the Titanic. And it's really horrifying, actually, what happens under that much pressure. The whole thing just imploded. At least the people on it didn't suffer because it implodes in a fraction of a second. They would have been crushed and killed immediately. But yeah, there's way more problems in space. Although, obviously being instantaneously crushed is also a problem as well. Musk said that by extending humanity's interest in space travel from the moon to Mars will vastly increase the probable lifespan of consciousness, as we will no longer have all our eggs literally and metabolically in one planet. Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's all awesome. I love it. Yeah, I love sci-fi. I want us to, be living on I want us to have colonies all over the solar system. As long as I don't have to go myself. As long as I can wake up in the morning, go for a walk and go, oxygen. So nice. What a luxury. But yeah, I mean, I want all this to happen. I think that he's maybe exaggerating here, how quickly this stuff can happen. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, again, we might have second guess Musk here. He's done. He tends to accomplish what he sets his mind to. But I would not envy the people, the astronauts that were crazy enough to go and do it. But yeah, I mean, is there a necessity to spread consciousness throughout, if not just the solar system, throughout the galaxy? Yes, there is, because we walk through our lives blissfully ignorant of all of the catastrophes, the calamities that could befall us at any time, right? Like they haven't mapped every asteroid in the solar system. Something could be coming at us from the direction of the sun right now, and nobody's picking up on it. And if there were, really, there's not much they can do even now about it. So, or a nearby star could go supernova, fry the surface of the planet. There's lots of stuff that can end us tomorrow, right? So it is important to spread consciousness, because what is consciousness? Is consciousness, the universe understanding itself, the universe trying to understand itself? I don't know, but it appears to be very rare, because we're not getting a bunch of radio signals or messages from the rest of the galaxy or other galaxies. We're not seeing mega engineering projects and stars being rearranged into shapes, the sort of things you imagine that you would see in like a science fiction novel, but the sort of things you would see in a what is the rating system for civilization again? It's the type 1. What is the name again? Kardashev. You have like a type 1 Kardashev civilization. It is a planet that uses all of the energy from the sun that reaches the planet, right? Then a type 2 uses all of the energy that comes from the sun, period, that just goes out in all directions. And I think step 3, a stage 3 Kardashev civilization is all of the energy in a galaxy, I believe. If I've got that right. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure some of you guys, have probably heard of this Kardashev scale. But yeah, I guess the point is that, yeah, we, if it's possible, we should do that, because there's, consciousness, it appears to be extremely rare, unless everybody's just hiding, right? And it's something worth preserving. And, humanity is something that's worth preserving. I know what are they called again? Who are those crazy environmentalists? Extinction Rebellion? They might disagree. And all the Malthusians out there might disagree, but no, I think humanity is worth preserving. It just, on what timescales? I mean, if any colony on Mars is going to be totally dependent on Earth for a very, very long, what, decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, right? Mars is pretty much a dead rock right now. But anyway, all right. Well, I guess that's enough of that. What are you guys talking about? JJ Nevada says, like stomping on an empty beer can. I think you're talking about the Ocean Gate Titan submersible. Yeah, it's awful. It's shocking. But I mean, I guess at least it's a quick death, right? Let's see. Antipop says Jack Parsons has a crater on the moon named after him. Is that like Graham Parsons? That's the Flying Burrito Brothers, right? I thought that was Graham Parsons. Anyway, let's move on. So what do we have now? Maybe I should have another sip of coffee. All right. From Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's an interesting guy. Let's hear this. He's also got Tucker there. And by the way, I haven't seen the thing he did with that kind of controversial historian where they were talking about Churchill and World War II and all that. So I don't know what's in that. Been meaning to take a look at it, but I don't know. I personally like Winston Churchill, so there's that.
I saw Kamala, at the convention, and she gave a speech that was very bellicose and belligerent. It was a kind of speech that was written by neocons and the CIA. The first time in history, they had a CIA former director speaking right before her, Leon Panetta. They had military people speaking at the Democratic Convention. Democrats were the anti-war party. They were the pro-Constitution party. They were the party that was against Wall Street and representing the little guys, the cops, the firefighters, union and labor people. In the 2020 election, roughly 50% of the people in this country voted for Donald Trump. But that group that voted for Donald Trump represented 30% of the wealth in our country. The 50% of the people that voted for Joe Biden represented 70% of the wealth. There's been an inversion now where the Republican Party has become the party of the common man, of working people.
Have you seen that they're like on the left, they're all rejoicing because Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney have endorsed Kamala Harris? I've never seen anything so crazy in my life. I mean, that goes along with this, right? I've never seen anything so insane in my life. They're all celebrating Dick Cheney, the guy who lied about WMDs and Saddam Hussein and 9/11. Like, what? He's just this full-on warmonger monster who even shot his own friend in the face, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. Like, he's what modern Republicans hate, right? Modern Republicans, conservatives don't like the Dick Cheneys or the Donald Rumsfelds or any of them, right? They're just celebrating it. I mean, I love the rehabilitation of George Bush as well, the younger. I loved seeing that. That was hilarious. It's just like, you're against Trump, you're in. That's it. No principles, no ethics, nothing whatsoever. You're just in. And I find it true. They really have become the party of the neocon. I mean, when they celebrate, if you're celebrating Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney joining you, joining hands with you, you're just a neocon at that point. What else are you? Are you insane? Like, you can't pretend to be a liberal anymore if you love. I mean, they're not liberals anyway, right? These are illiberal authoritarians. But you can't pretend to be if you're celebrating Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney's with us. We must be in the right. We must be on the right path. We've got Dick Cheney with us. Good Lord. Don't you know he's going to shoot you in the face if you go hunting with him? It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But anyway, let's continue.
Of the middle class. And the Democratic Party has become the party of Wall Street, of the military-industrial complex, of big pharma, big agriculture, big tech, the big banking systems, and all of what Donald Trump calls the deep state, which is this web of financial interests that is not necessarily a little conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy of self-interest that functions together in tandem to shift wealth upward, to clamp down totalitarian controls, and to transform this country from the world's exemplary democracy into a corporate kleptocracy and a very, very oppressive oligarchical system, the kind of system that we fought a revolution to overthrow in 1776.
Wow. Bless you for saying that.
Yeah, it's weird how things have flipped, huh? Just crazy. I mean, they're the Dems now, apparently the party of Dick Cheney. Craziest thing I've ever seen. What are you guys saying here? Rosie says, inversion, great description. Yeah, absolutely. AJ McLean says, I love that RFK is now with Trump. Their team is so strong now. Vivek, Tulsi Gabbard, Tucker, Elon. It's amazing to see this. Yeah, again, I said this on Friday. It feels like Providence or something, right? Like there's the assassination attempt. He just turned his head just in time to avoid being killed, being assassinated, right? All of a sudden, he's got Tulsi. He's got Elon Musk. He's got RFK Jr. Like it feels like everything is lining up in some sort of providential way, doesn't it? It's really, I mean, the whole thing is fascinating, if nothing else. Let's see. Rosie says, warmonger equals war monster. Yeah, I care. How you doing, I care? Hi, Richie. Regarding the Cheneys, a special place in hell for them. Yeah, they're bad people. Super bad people. Rosie says, Maha, so let's make America healthy again. Add MAGA. Make America great again. Yeah. I look at it even larger than that. I make it like make the West great again. Right? The US can be the example for everybody else. I mean, here in Canada, you know, we finally figured out that Trudeau is a moral monster and we're ready to get rid of, and just incompetent, right? And we're ready to get rid of him. You know, now whether Pierre Poilievre will live up to the, you know, the billing, we'll have to see. But at least things are starting to turn. Things are starting to turn. Even in the UK, you know, after the, you know, 15 years of betrayal by the Conservatives there, Labour only got in with 33% of the vote, or 34% of the vote, or just under 34%, I think, actually. And that was only because that the Conservatives stayed home, again, because of the perpetual betrayal from their own conservative leaders. JJ Nawada says, everyone hates the Cheneys. They do, like worldwide. All right. So that was good. General Mike Flynn said, perfectly stated, you should be writing speeches for Trump's rallies. I think it's such an amazing thing. Like who are the fanatics? Like who are the ideologues, right? Who's the cult? Because these seem like some pretty, you know, Vivek, Tulsi Gabbard, Tucker, Elon. These actually seem like some pretty diverse people. RFK. This is actually kind of a diverse group, right? These are all open-minded people. Like, who's the cult exactly? Like, is the cult maybe the people that have a candidate who nobody voted for when they had a chance to vote for her? Nobody did. All right, she got 3% of the vote. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, obviously, in 2020. 0 delegates. She was picked literally as a diversity hire. Biden said that himself. He said it explicitly. He said the VP will be a black woman, right? So if you weren't that, you didn't have a chance to get in. So she was picked as a diversity hire. She was a DEI hire. Biden said so himself explicitly, regardless of what CNN or MSNBC tries to tell us, or any of the Canadian state media or anywhere else. They had nobody voted for her in a primary for 2024. She was just picked by the party elites. She was just anointed by the party elites. So this woman who was considered to be a liability to the campaign, who nobody liked, who had historically low approval rating, overnight becomes the greatest thing since sliced bread. She becomes the savior. She's going to save democracy. Everybody loves her. She's dynamic. In fact, the whole country's experiencing joy. Can't you feel the joy right now? All of that joy. Overnight. That was the narrative that came out from the media. Suddenly, all of a sudden, she was this dynamic, wise, intelligent person who was going to bring joy to the country and save the country when nobody liked her 5 minutes ago. So what's the cult exactly? Is it the Trump voters that are the cult? It seems like there's kind of like a wide variety of people voting for Trump. It seems like kind of a big tent, certainly a bigger tent than the Democrats, right? So who's the cult exactly? The people that are voting for somebody, the people that are dying to vote. They're so joyful about voting for somebody that they didn't even pick themselves, that they never voted for when they had a chance to vote for. They didn't, and they didn't like her 30 seconds ago. And suddenly, now, they want nothing more. Suddenly, they're building this cult of personality. Suddenly, they've bought this cult of personality around her. And, the best justification so far, it seems that I've heard from any of them is that, or the only one that they can come up with is that she's a woman and she's black. Or maybe she's Indian or whatever, but they don't seem to care, right? So who's the cult exactly? Who's the cult? I don't know. I mean, I think I know who the cult is. I think you guys do as well. Let's see. Nevada says, I'm glad Dick endorsed Kabama. Well, that's the thing, too. Do they think that's going to help them? Let's see. One of the most hated people of the last, 20 years supports your candidate. How much is that going to help exactly? I'd be tempted to think it might actually drive some people away from that ticket. JJ Nevada says everything woke turns to shit. Well, somebody else said that.
Everything woke turns to shit.
It really does. All right. Nevada says, bought some groceries this weekend. Didn't feel the joy. Yeah, and you'll continue to not feel the joy as well, unfortunately. All right, what's going on here? Let's see. Team America, Trump, Vance, Kennedy Jr., Tulsi, Vivek, and Elon. I like all of these people quite a lot. I mean, do I agree with them all on everything? No, but I don't have to, right? That's the thing. Like, adults don't have to. If you're not an ideologue, you don't have to agree with everything somebody says, or they're a monster, or they're a Putin puppet, or, they're Hitler or fascism or whatever, or phobes or isms. Like, if you're an adult, you don't have to agree with everything somebody says to still think that they have value in some way. Do I love everything that Kennedy Jr. has said? No, but there are some things that I do like, and if Trump is going to use him in those ways to fill those gaps, to deal with those problems, well, then that's great. What's the problem? Adults can see that. Let's see. Launchpad, welcome to the chat. I fear no matter what happens with this election, this country will not start healing until 2028. And, it's a great point, because what Western countries are dealing with now are generational problems. So there are lines that have been crossed that can't be erased. Like, the issue, like I can tell you in Canada, there are generational issues now. So, as well as with the states, like both Canada and the states, the debt, these are generational issues now, right? There's been a line that's crossed where it's just, there's no quick fixes. This is going to take a long time, right? Attempting to integrate the people, the masses of people that have been brought in, is going to be a generational project at this point, right? Nobody was thinking. Nobody asked these questions. And it's the same everywhere. But I'll talk about Canada now, but it's the same everywhere in the West, right? Nobody asks these questions. Well, how many hospital beds are there per 1,000? How many police are there by 1,000? How many police stations are there? How much traffic can the roads handle? Questions like this, how many doctors are there per 1,000 people? Nobody's asking these questions. How many homes are there exactly? And how many people can we absorb? Nobody asked these questions. It's just been this mad rush to get as many people in as possible. How will adding 1 million people a year to a country the size of Canada, how will that affect inflation? because obviously it's going to supply and demand. Right? Nobody asks these questions. Nobody's asking them anywhere across the Western world. It's just this rush to jam in as many people as possible. So yeah, you end up with generational problems that can't be fixed in 4 years or 8 years or 12 years. I mean, you can stem the bleeding. You can stop the damage, the continuing damage, but it's going to be a long time. There are problems that will be dealt with by our grandchildren. Let's Antipop says, we sent troops to Afghanistan because Cheney told Jason Kenney and he'll do whatever he's told. Yeah. Afghanistan was looking back, not look with hindsight, I would say that no, don't. At the time, it seemed there was some justification for it. But in hindsight, no, it was no. What for? What exactly? Just for 20 years later, it just this exactly the same, just reverts to the exact same thing. I mean, I'm sure there were people that enjoyed the nominal changes that occurred, but not enough people, obviously, right? Let's see. AJ says Putin endorsing Kamala was a hilarious troll. I guess the left loves Putin now. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, he was clearly kind of joking around there, but why wouldn't he like Kamala, right? With Kamala, he gets to just keep doing what he's doing now. Trump will force the issue. He will force the issue regarding a negotiated deal with Ukraine. And why would Putin want that now? He doesn't need that. Right? They're winning. Putin's winning. It's a war of attrition, right? And war of attrition, who's got the most material, who's got the most men, is going to win. They've gotten a lot better, a lot more experience. They've now become experts at this kind of warfare, which is horrible warfare, by the way, with these drones flying around everywhere, like a commercial drones with carrying like grenades flying over trenches. You've now got these drones shooting out thermite to like burn people. I mean, it's this is like the worst war has ever been, the most horrifying war has ever been, right? But they know what they're doing. I mean, if they just keep going, it's inevitable. I mean, it's just a numbers game. It's about logistics, right? Russia will just go all the way, if they want, all the way to the Dnieper, and they'll take that eastern third of Ukraine. There's nothing that's going to stop them, right? I mean, once Ukraine reaches a critical low in men, it's all over. And this is not me cheering anybody on. This is just reality. Like, you need people to fight a war. And is NATO crazy enough to put NATO boots on the ground? I hope not. I certainly hope not. Because there's 6,000 reasons not to do that. And those 6,000 reasons are all nuclear weapons. They were created to vaporize you. And if they're launched, they will. Trump is going to force the issue. Maybe Putin won't get everything that he wants if Trump's in. I imagine that Putin absolutely prefers Kamala. Let's see. Nevada says, damn warmongers. You know what I got to do? I got to make myself another coffee. You know what? I'm just going to, first thing I'm going to do is, I think we'll shut down the YouTube part of the stream now. So we're streaming on YouTube and Rumble simultaneously. And we've been shutting down the YouTube part early and then continuing on with Rumble just because of the censorship, right? So I feel like, I get an hour streaming in on YouTube, then it's probably time to knock it off just because I've experienced some censorship on YouTube, and it's, It's not really worth it, but I beseech you, go over to Rumble. Go over Rumble, subscribe to the channel. You can continue on with us. We'll be going on for, I don't know, at least another 2 hours from now. So come over to Rumble, and then if you just watch on Rumble all the time, then you get to see the whole show over there. So please come over and join us. The water's great. There's always way more people watching on Rumble. The chat's really good. Chat's awesome. Everybody's great. You'll be welcomed in. Please do that. I should mention before I go that I'm going out of town on Tuesday, from Tuesday until Monday. So there will be no live stream on Tuesday because I'll be traveling all day. And I'm hoping to do a live stream on Friday still, and maybe even on Sunday night, probably not. But I'm hoping to do a live stream on Friday still. But we shall see. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody on YouTube, but I got to cut it off now. Hopefully, we will see you on Rumble right now. Stalin tube is gone.